Hey, Newsa-Cast listeners, we have got a special throwback once again this week. We take on the Gravedigger, number 93 of the Green Bay Packers, former nose tackle, played under the Mike Holmgren years, had the famous, every time he had a quarterback sack, he dug that grave, and he threw a lot of quarterbacks in that grave. And gosh, maybe more than anything, he had one hell of a sandwich at one of the local fast food joints, I'll tell you that.
Yeah. The Gilbert burger? Is that what it was?
Burger, the Gil, you got it.
Yeah. Burger King was a triple patty.
Yes. Oh, that was good. Good stuff.
They could have called that the Gravedigger because your arteries clog as soon as that thing hit your stomach.
Right. Puts you in the grave.
But he was a special player. 2007, 2008, he entered the Packer Hall of Fame.
Yes.
Right about the time he was at the Red Smith Sports Banquet. So
yeah,
he had some great years with the Packers. Played his college ball at University of Kansas.
Yes.
So,
yeah, 2007 he was at the Red Smith Banquet. He received the Red Smith Award that year, and Bill Rafferty too. He's still, I mean, one of the greatest college basketball announcers. Bill was the main speaker that year, and Jack Bennett, Dick Bennett's brother, received the Nice Guy Award that year. So that was a great year. And Gilbert was one of those guys. I mean, he was a run stuffer, no question about it. He plugged the hole, but he was just one of those characters that every great team, a lot of teams, you had, remember the fridge from the Bears,
right.
And guys like that. Gilbert was very similar to that in the sense that he was just this big personality. I mean, he was the Gravedigger after all, and he was although maybe somewhat of a quiet person, in person, his persona was just larger than life.
Absolutely. And also, as big as he was, an amazing athlete. See that guy move, and it was pretty incredible.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right. For being that huge, to be that light on your feet, to be able to, I mean, he could rush the quarterback. He just bull rush right through him.
Absolutely.
He's very, very athletic. He'd shoot that A gap and look out.
Yeah. So hopefully you enjoyed this full interview on the YouTube channel of Gilbert Brown, Packer Hall of Famer. And remember, you're going to get a clip of it on the podcast.
In the NFL draft of 1993, the Minnesota Vikings made a very smart choice in the third round. They chose a stellar defensive lineman from Kansas, Gilbert Brown. Fortunately, no, don't cheer for that. Cheer for this. Fortunately, they made a very unwise decision in August of that year when they cut Gilbert Brown. He didn't stay on waivers long. Ron Wolf and the Green Bay Packers picked him up immediately. And if you would just race ahead with me 3 years from that August of 1993 to the Super Bowl championship season of 1996. The Packers had one of the most dominant defensive lines in their history. They had the incomparable Reggie White and then Sean Jones at defensive ends. They had Santana Dotson in the middle. And demanding a double team all the time, the immovable force, the Gravedigger, Gilbert Brown. In the three playoff games of that season, including the Super Bowl, that defensive line and the rest of the supporting crew held the featured running back from the opponent, including New England in the Super Bowl game, to under 30 yards a game. They simply could not go through Gilbert in the middle. And the path around him was, well, wide, where Reggie or Sean or Santana Dotson were ready to pick it up from there. His often unsung contributions that year and his gritty determination in every game had him named to the Madden All-Madden team for that year. In all, Gilbert was with the Packers for 10 years, often playing through injury and adversity. For example, many thought his days as a professional football player were over when injuries and health forced him to miss the 2000 season. But Gilbert rededicated himself to the game, moved back to Lawrence and trained with his KU strength coach, changed his diet, and won a roster spot for the 2001 season. In this era, when many athletes are paid extremely nice salaries, whether they play through injury or not, Gilbert reminded us that some play for the love of the game and the privilege of being a professional football player. In 2003, he suffered a painful torn bicep. For most people, that requires surgery and rest and is a season-ending injury. But Gilbert wouldn't hear of it. First, they fashioned him a special brace, which after one practice he cut off and went with an adhesive wrap, and he continued and played the season. At the time, Brett Favre, in an interview, said, "How can any guy in our locker room not be inspired by what Gilbert's doing?" And Coach Mike Sherman, I think, said it best that year. Gilbert Brown is a Packer, and he will always be a Packer. A lot of guys would just walk on this thing and count their paycheck, but he wants to do the very best that he can to help us. He was an uncommon professional athlete. But the measure of his contributions can't just be judged by looking at sacks and tackles. He made everybody on the defensive front better. He made every football player on the team a better football player, and he made us, the fans, feel the joy of the game. A couple of things that you may not know about Gilbert Brown. One of his teammates at Mackenzie High in Detroit was a running back named Jerome Bettis. Now, I got to tell you, an awful lot of high school football players on the other teams decided that soccer wasn't such a bad sport after all. At KU, he did more than just anchor an outstanding defensive line, including his roommate, Dana Stubblefield. He was also an all-academic Big Eight. And some of you may also remember having a Gilbert burger when you supersized at Burger King. You've heard that racing and cars are a passion for Gilbert Brown. It started early. At age 9, he was already working on his father's drag racing pit crew. Unfortunately, at age 10, his dreams of being a driver were ended as he exceeded the size limit. I'm not going to go sit down next to him, but it's been enjoyable to be here. Thank you. Gilbert Brown is a big man, but he is a big man with a big heart for people in need. Working through his Gilbert Brown Charitable Foundation, he makes numerous appearances, raises money, and works directly with a wide variety of youth groups. Just for example, the Milwaukee Mile Gilbert Brown Attendance Club is something he started to encourage Milwaukee youth to stay in school, to go to school, and as a reward, he brings them out to the track. He was a vital part of the Go the Extra Mile school supply effort through the Milwaukee Mile, which provides schools to some schools in the inner city that didn't have some of the resources they needed. And he started the Gilbert Brown All-Pro Football Camp, which is a free camp for young players that want to learn the skills of the game, and while they're there, they get a lot more. He teaches them about respect for elders and for themselves. He teaches them about teamwork, and he tries to get them to start thinking about life after sports and other professions that they may want to go into. He works with Make-A-Wish Foundation and is a very big supporter of the effort against breast cancer. Many of these things can be read in much more detail, and much more insight can be gained if you go to Gilbert's website, www.gilbertbrown93.com, and you can order his new book, A Year of Champions. And the rumor that I get any commission out of this for the next 2 weeks, that's not true. I want to be clear on that. I think the thing that stands out to me as a Packer fan and going to the games is that you could just tell that very few people loved being a Green Bay Packer as much as Gilbert Brown. He was recently quoted in an interview saying that Lambeau Field is the greatest place in the world to play football. I loved playing there. I loved being a Packer. Gilbert never forgot that the Packers believed in him even when the Vikings failed to see his potential. He appreciated the Packer fans, and he used his gravedigger celebration as a way to connect with us during the game. Unlike some professional athletes, Gilbert understood that he was blessed to have the talent and the size to play professional football. And he competed hard on every play that he was out on the field. He respected the game. He respected the fans. And he respected the magic that is the Green Bay Packers. It was a joy for us to see and cheer for a guy that we could see loved running out on the field and competing. Ladies and gentlemen, our 2007 Red Smith Award winner, number 93, the Gravedigger, Gilbert Brown.
I don't want to fumble this time. All right, sit down. I gotta fix this mic. A lot of short people was up here. Let me fix this thing. Anyway, first of all, I want to thank the big man upstairs, because without him, there's nothing possible. I want to thank the Green Bay Packers for giving me a chance to play football, because without them, I wouldn't be standing up here. I want to say I got to the team in '93, and Lee Rimmel still looks the same. Don't beat me up, Lee. I had to do it, man. I had to do it. And first of all, and also I want to thank all the fans out there, because it's been a lot of games, and it's been a lot of ups and downs, and a lot of different things. But you guys have always been there for us. And I know you guys heard it like I heard it when we lost Reggie. And I always think about him, man. If it's a song on it or anything, you know, he pops into my head. So any chance I got a time to say his name, you know, I would do it. And I also want to thank these fine people for giving me this beautiful award. I won't let my son use it as a cup. He's 13 and he wears my suits, so. Just to let y'all know, you know. And, but again, I want to thank you. I want to congratulate all you young people. And I got something to say to you young people. There's a lot of things in this world that you can do, but there's one thing that I want you guys to remember is always do not take things for granted. I mean, I lost my father. He was 48, and I was 19, I believe. And your parents, your mother and your father, you know, a lot of people say, well, I look at Michael Jordan, I look at such and such or who as role models, but you never get to touch them. You'll never get to see them in person, but you see your mother and father in person. So that should be your role models, and treat them with respect, because I'm a mama's boy and I love my mama to death. And I'm not scared to say it, you know? So thank you guys, and thank you for this beautiful, beautiful award, and God bless you guys. Oh, one more thing. When you guys, I know all you guys gonna come out to the Milwaukee Mile this year. If you do, and on that first thing we got, was it May 6th you said? Don't bring no minivan with 100 kids in it. You cannot get on the track with a minivan. Thank you.